All right, here we are. Welcome, guys. I hope all is well. Before we begin, I just want to kind of name why this work is structured the way it is. You're seeing winter 2026. You may notice that this is not a full year forecast like I had originally planned. And that choice is intentional. We really live in a time where information moves faster than the integration that we can we can muster, and so people receive like a year ahead, and they nod along, they feel briefly oriented with it, and then we forget it. Uh, Not because they aren't capable, but because human beings do not live a year at a time. We live in seasons. And so I received very clear guidance to stop doing this as something that we need to remember, that we need to go back and look at. Of course, in other words, by the time we watch something for the year of 2026, by the time we get to the mid-year or even the end of the year, even a couple months into the year, we don't remember these things. So I wanted to do this by season, and start teaching it as something to walk with. Seasonal astrology really meets our nervous systems where it actually is. It allows the body and the psyche and our lives to really stay present with what's unfolding right now. So rather than trying to hold 12 months of meaning all at once, we're going to break it down by seasons. So winter of 2026 here, of course, we stepped into that at the winter solstice, December 21st. But because we're in January and I was sick and I'm just getting back to things, I was working on this while I was sick. Actually, I just couldn't record because I didn't have a voice. But this year isn't really asking you to plan the entire year. It is asking you to stay conscious inside of this corridor that we're working with. So this presentation, if you will, is really designed to orient you to the season you're currently in, so that we can recognize what is being stripped away and what's being reorganized quietly, and of course, what's not yet meant to be rushed into any sort of form or existence at this time. So it's energy that's still out there. So if something here resonates, it's not because you memorized it, right? It's because you recognize yourself in it. So I just want to be clear about why I'm doing it by season and not the year ahead as previously planned. So we will move through this, and then here toward the end, we'll take a look at the energy for the next few months for winter. Okay, so let's go ahead and start and get into this here. So I have titled this the initiation corridor for winter 2026. This seems like there's a lot being initiated right now, but this is something that we're really going to be grounding um, through. Actually, it's kind of setting the tone for at least the next 6 months, but for the year in general. Let's go ahead and we'll move into the houses here. Okay, so the houses that were activated at the solstice, the 4th and the 10th house. At the solstice, with the 10th and the 4th house axis being activated, this really immediately tells us where the work is happening. So the 4th house really governs that emotional foundation, that safety, home, and that internal stability, while the 10th house is governing that responsibility and that purpose, our reputations, and our public roles. So this axis asks us to really ground our emotional safety and security in a very real sense. It might feel even a little uncomfortable. It's asking us, can what we are building really outwardly still be supported inwardly? And so if the answer is no, something's going to have to change, right? Um, not not by forcing it, but because it's our truth. All right. Let's talk about Pluto and Aquarius a little bit. There's this things in the background shift, if you will. So Pluto and Aquarius, this isn't a transit that creates events. It creates more of an atmosphere. I'm still getting over the residual symptoms of whatever I have had. Um, so excuse me for clearing my throat here, but this is like the long arc behind everything else in this season. Power structures are changing. We're seeing that right now as we speak with Iran. Group identities are really fracturing. We're seeing some of that with the infighting that we're seeing. Um, and belonging, though, is something that we're recognizing doesn't replace our authenticity. So you could feel a lot less willing to participate in systems. Amen, amen. Roles, relationships, especially the ones that require you to, self erasure, forget about yourself in exchange for being accepted. And that's an evolution within you in and of itself, okay, on its own. All right. So the signs that are going to be most sensitive, of course, again, December 21st was the solstice, but this plays a role here. So bear with me. Capricorn, feeling that weight of responsibility really increase. You may be coming out of that the more closely we move toward Aquarius season. 19th, 20th of January is when that threshold is. Cancer is going to feel extremely emotionally exposed. And Aries and Libra, okay, again, the cardinal signs, feeling pressure really building around self and relationship. The key here is pretty simple. No action just yet, okay? Um some of you may be starting really to get back into it. I mean, it's kind of funny that I was sick and and like I'm just getting back into it. So around this time you could see that you are really stepping into something and carrying this responsibility to fruition. So sensitivity, though, should not mean that we need to do anything with urgency. We just need to be aware of it. Okay. All right. Let's take a look. Neptune. Neptune is a big player here. Neptune's entering Aries. This is going to be the dissolution of our old selves. And of course, this is happening on the 26th of January. By the way, your calendar was off by date. So if you've downloaded the calendar, I'm going to ask you to download it again because I've updated it. I apparently I think I downloaded some calendar from like 2001 or something. So my bad. I didn't double check that. I trusted it too much, I guess. Um, but Neptune entering Aries, right? This it's not really arriving very loudly, but you'll notice some things kind of more dissolving quietly. Um, Neptune entering Aries, you're going to find that old motivations fade. Those false identities that maybe we once held are going to really lose their charge. And you may feel really tired of who you have been, or even how you've existed, even if that identity once really served you very well. And so the shedding is really a release, not necessarily a loss. And that release is always going to come before some kind of redirection. So we're moving through that. Okay. What slide am I on here? Yeah, there it is. Okay, sorry, I was a little behind. Let's go back to this one for a second. Um, no, sorry guys, bear with me. This is kind of new. I felt like this was more beneficial than just looking at a zodiacal wheel. Um, so, all right. So, let's talk about the houses and signs that are being activated here. Of course, you'll see that this is really going to soften the first house. Um, there could be some uncertainty around the seventh house, relationships, connections, partnerships, fogginess around that. But there's going to be some memory that's stirred in the fourth house, okay? Home, foundations, our emotional safety, etc. The clarity is delayed on purpose, it seems. Um, and again, this isn't really a time to decide, but it is a time to pay attention to what's coming up. So if you rush to define yourself right now, you will really define yourself from a place of illusion instead of truth. So when Neptune shifts into Aries, that dissolving is really going to be taking place. Okay, so pay attention to what comes up. Pay attention to where your mind goes, where your emotions are, and let get some clarity around this before you decide to take any action. Astrologically, you're going to be nudged to take some kind of action here in the near future anyway. So just hang tight, okay? Getting a sip of coffee there. Let this truth settle, and we'll be integrating it. All right. So then we have Saturn moving into Aries. This is happening on February the 13th, 2026. This is where accountability is going to show up. So Neptune's dissolving. We're seeing the truth of something, but Saturn is really going to define us. And so just keep in mind that whatever takes place around this time, okay, or through this transit, it's not punishment, but it's here to help you mature. Um, your integrity is going to be a real non-negotiable here, okay? It's going to ask you to show up with integrity, and that you make conscious decisions and you take conscious action. We're not just, oh, well, we'll see what it happens. That's not going to be the case with Saturn in Aries. So it really is asking you to take responsibility for who you're choosing to be, and not for who you wish you could still be. Okay, because again, all of that's falling away and changing. Now, what's really interesting is that we have Mars here. Mars is the activator. Mars is really explaining why this time frame feels a little dicey. Okay. Um, you might notice that frustrations are really coming up to the surface, especially where there might be a lack of boundaries. Okay. You may pay attention to where you feel angry, because that's really going to bring up some sort of significant truth that maybe you didn't acknowledge before. You could have avoided it. And then you'll see your energy might be really high and then really low. So it could be a bit of like a fluctuation. Okay. I noted here spikes and then drops. You could notice fluctuation in your energy. So just remember that this is not it's not here to create any sort of instability, but if anything has been suppressed or diminished or kind of swept under the rug, it's going to be coming back up for you. Okay. Just pay attention. All right. So there's some particular houses that are being impacted here by Saturn and Aries. And so the 1st, the 10th, and the 7th, which is really interesting. Let's talk about this a little bit. So Saturn entering Aries is like where the season stops really being subtle and we have to start showing up with accountability. Aries is the sign of I am. Most of you know this already. And so Saturn is the principle of consequence, right? Structure, commitment. And so when Saturn moves here, it is not really interested in your potential. It's interested in your follow through. So when we talk about the houses being activated, that's where we're really saying, where is life going to require you to be honest in a way that you can no longer avoid? So if Saturn is activating that first house, the demand is your identity. Um, it's not about performance. It's not the version of you that's learned how to get approved. Okay. This is the part of the season where you start noticing which parts of your personality are actually survival strategies. You'll start noticing where you might have been living from a place of reaction instead of making conscious choices. Saturn is in the first, I'm sorry, Saturn in the first house, not is in the first house. It doesn't really let you keep calling it, this is just who I am, when it's really, this is what I've learned to be safe or to stay safe, right? So this placement's really going to force us to mature into the truest self concept. It's really going to ask for a sturdier spine. So if Saturn is activating the 10th house, um, it's It's the public life, it's career leadership, it's responsibility, of course. But the story you've been telling yourself is really going to show up here about where you, not where, more about what you're here to do. That's going to get pressure tested. If you've been chasing some kind of success that doesn't actually nourish you, it's probably going to start feeling extremely heavy. If there's anything that you may have been postponing, especially when it comes to your calling, um, because it required some kind of responsibility, that avoidance is gonna become extremely obvious. Um, Saturn doesn't it's not here to punish you, so just keep that in mind. It's really here to clarify some things. It's asking us, like, are you willing to be seen in what's real, or do you still need to hide behind what's acceptable? And so if Saturn is activating the 7th house, the pressure lands in relationship. The agreements that you never spoke become these places that you're kind of breaking open and looking at. Vague connections may start to feel expansive. You could notice that ambiguity becomes extremely exhausting. This is where you're going to realize that love that doesn't have clarity is not love, it's longing. That's gonna hit for a lot of us. Um, and so Saturn in the 7th asks us to name what we mean, um, ask for what we need, to really stop participating in dynamics where the truth is always postponed. How many of you can say that that's something you might even be feeling that now? So this is why Saturn can feel heavy. It's not cruel. It's not here to be cruel, but it's just honest. And Saturn makes you really stop caring what you can't maintain anymore. Okay. So it's a big one. It's going to be a big one here um, as those houses are activated. So the signs now here most impacted by Saturn and Aries, of course, Aries for sure. Libra, Cancer, Capricorn, those cardinal energies. So when we say these signs are most impacted, what I mean is the Saturn pressure lands in places that feel extremely personal. It touches everything from identity to relationships to emotional safety and responsibility all at once. And so for Aries, this is a self definition transit. The mask slips. The impulsive version of yourself is going to become extremely less satisfying. So Aries and Aries placements really begin to feel the difference between desire and destiny. And you may feel some pressure to simplify your life too, to really stop scattering energy, to stop starting fires you don't intend to tend to. Um, Saturn is really asking my Aries to, you know, time to grow up, but not let's not lose our courage either. We want to maintain that courage that you so beautifully embody. The question here that you may want to ask is like what you're willing to build, but not chase, not 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 just chase is how I should say that. Okay, Libra is that's this is rational truth, and so Libra, you may feel this sense of imbalance long before it speaks it. Saturn is really forcing the speaking. And so this is the season where people pleasing really starts costing more than it provides for us. Libra learns that harmony built on self abandonment is not harmony at all, it's management. And a lot of times, not fun management either. So you might find that relationships are going to mature through honesty, or they start to crack under the weight of what's really been avoided for some time. For my Cancerians and those of you with Cancerian placements, again, wherever you have this, just pay attention to that. The tension is going to be around safety versus duty versus like even obligation for some of us. A Cancer is really going to feel the pull between what protects our hearts and what life is requiring now. So you may feel really emotionally exposed, more sensitive, more aware of what you can't tolerate anymore. Saturn isn't really here to harden you, Cancer. Okay. It's not about going inside the shell here, but it's really more or less trying to stabilize you. So there's a question here that I feel like is coming up. This is about building like, how can I build like this stronger internal home so I don't have to keep confusing familiarity with safety? Oof, familiarity, a familiar pain, even for some of us, that's coming through. Capricorn is really feeling this pressure land on the identity that you've built through achievement. And so Capricorn will start feeling what's sustainable and what isn't. If you have been carrying too much, and this doesn't just apply to these zodiac signs, I just want to be clear about that. Okay. We all have these houses and placements in our chart and so on some level. But if you've been carrying too much, Saturn isn't going to let you keep carrying it. Or if you're carrying it and calling it responsibility, Saturn's not going to allow you to continue to carry it and call it responsibility. It's really going to force a restructure. And so there's this learning that control is not the same as strength. And that true authority is really going to come to the surface. And what does that mean? It's about being able to choose what matters and then to let go of the rest, what doesn't matter, right? So Saturn and Aries is a collective maturation moment, if you will. The really vague parts of life become quite heavy because they require energy without giving clarity to it. So the real parts, though, you're going to find are stabilizing because they can actually hold your weight. Okay, so this brings us to Mercury as the processor. This is where our mind is really going to start catching up. Mercury's role in this corridor, as I'm calling it, is not really to create the change. It's more here to translate that. And so a lot of people think clarity comes first and then we act. But in seasons like this, the lived experience changes you really before your mind can name what's happening. Um, and so Mercury comes in after the fact and tries to put language to what your body is already sensing and knowing, kind of cleaning it up, if you will. And so that's why understanding might lag behind some kind of experience. You could also notice that your thoughts could be looping. Because your mind is trying to build a very coherent story around a new inner landscape or inner reality that you've established. And so conversations could resurface because you didn't finish them. You just kind of moved on. And so now your psyche is asking for that completion. So Mercury as the processor um, is really going to look like you keep replaying a moment and realizing you didn't say what you meant. You might hear yourself speaking and realize that you have outgrown that kind of language. Or you're trying to explain what's changing you and the words don't feel clarifying enough or they might feel too small. So just keep in mind it's not about a lack of clarity because that clarity is still forming. And so Mercury also brings the reappearance of people, of course. Uh, Topics could come resurface or come back up. Any sort of threads that may have been left unresolved could show back up. It's not always for reconciliation on some level, though, okay, especially when we're talking about people. Sometimes it's just for the recognition, sometimes it's just for the information. Sometimes you need one more conversation to understand what you already kind of decided internally. And sometimes you don't even need the conversation with them, you need the conversation with yourself. And so some of this may be internal for some of you. Um, and one of the most important functions of Mercury here that I want to point out is that it really shows you where you keep trying to use logic to override truth. And so Mercury will keep looping until you stop trying to make the misalignment make sense. So If your mind feels really busy during this stretch, treat it like a digestion, if you will. It's not supposed to be pretty. It's supposed to be thorough. And so ask yourself like what you're trying to understand that you already know. What are you trying to justify that your physical body might even be rejecting? Um, what kind of truth is keeps coming up no matter how many times you try to like rename it or like dress it up differently. This is Mercury's doing its work. So there's integration in this process that you're going to want to pay attention to. All right, so some things that we cannot go without paying attention to certainly is the eclipse season that we're going to be entering here. I put the range here, mid to late February, because that's the window for it. Let me give you exact dates. So February 17th is going to be the annular solar eclipse. That's going to be in the sign of Aquarius. Let me pull up. Hang on, just my book for a second here. February 17th. I just don't know the next one. I could probably calculate it, but the third of March, and that's going to be in Virgo. Okay, that's full moon eclipse. So, um, yeah, entering the eclipse window here, and so most of you know that eclipses behave very differently from most transits, and they don't really announce themselves very loudly because they're quite potent. They don't need to. They're non-negotiators and they tend to compress time. So what might normally take months to resolve becomes a bit unavoidable in weeks or even days, dealing with these eclipses. Okay, doors close, um, inner decisions kind of solidify even before the mind catches up to it. So these eclipses are not meant to be full of drama, but they more align us with a trajectory that we're more aligned with. So you'll also notice that these eclipses may bring up realizations that something you've been clinging to no longer has a future with you, even if you once hoped it would. Okay. So when eclipses activate the first and seventh houses, the tension is between self and relationship, between who you are becoming and sorry, I forgot to switch the slide here. But yeah, between who you're becoming and who you've been accommodating. And the second and eighth houses are really going to bring up questions of value and trust and shared resources, what you tolerate, what you exchange, what you can not afford anymore. Um, that's not just as far as money is concerned, but emotionally, energetically, certainly materially. And then we have the fifth and 11th houses. Those are going to ask for deeper questions. Is your personal expression aligned with the future that you're moving toward, or are you performing for a version of belonging that doesn't really fit or align with you? Okay. All right. And so the signs that are going to be most impacted by this, of course, are Aries and Libra. And that's really going to show up around identity and relationships, especially the ones that we can't negotiate with any longer. You'll notice that decisions really clarify where we might have really been compromising ourselves. Taurus and Scorpio, of course, value, trust, and attachment are going to come front and center. um, what is unsustainable is really going to be shown to you. Like what is the true cost of that? That's going to come up. And for Leo and Aquarius, of course, authenticity is going to challenge this sense of belonging or where you feel like you belong or where you feel like you don't belong. Probably more about where you don't belong anymore. Um, and of course, especially with Aquarius, the future no longer is accommodating some kind of performance. So what ends now isn't going to return. Okay? It's helping us to align. And so just keep in mind whatever falls away or whatever kind of identity shifts or whatever we're letting go of is supported by that. And so, these eclipses they're not necessarily, let me point this out too, they're not really creating new desires. They're just removing our ability to avoid decisions that we've kind of made internally already. Um, so let whatever wants to shift, don't debate it. Um, you don't need agreement. Everybody doesn't need to agree. Okay. There doesn't need to be an agreement with what's changing. Um, because whatever's going to be left over here is going to prove that it survives truth. So if something feels final, it's because that learning is complete. This is really a closure, a completion for sure. I think you'll find that there's certainly not going to be any more delays with anything. Things that feel open ended or undone, I think those things are going to be really let go of too. Okay. All right. So as we approach the spring equinox, as we move into like late March here, something subtle but important seems to start happening here. Now, I don't know what that is till we get to it, but we'll look at the houses, of course, and the signs that'll be activated here. You'll find that pressure is going to start to really ease. And not necessarily because our work is done or we've completed something, but probably more so because these internal decisions have already been made, right? And so there's less drama now. There's less need to explain ourselves or things. There's more of a quiet knowing, and that our nervous system's really going to catch up with that. The energy is like gathering slowly there. So this is alignment before some kind of movement. And so if you feel withdrawn during this time or contemplative during this time, just know that you're being recalibrated there. Okay. So let's take a look at the houses that are being activated here. So we've got the third house, sixth house, and second house. Um, these are going to come into focus. The third house is really shifting our thinking patterns. You could notice yourself like speaking differently, choosing words more carefully. Um, for some, maybe even realizing that certain conversations no longer really need to happen at all. The sixth house is interesting too because it's really revealing what's sustainable and what's not. Our daily life could become quite an honest mirror for us during this time. You might notice that certain routines drain you. They're going to stand out pretty clearly for you. Um, you could notice that structures that support you right now, currently, really begin to feel essential, not necessarily, they're not optional. Okay. They're essential workers, if you will. Um, the second house is also really interesting because there's like these whispers about worth and resources with the second house. I feel like that'll become stronger as we move toward Taurus season, of course, but it's not so much about ambition anymore. It's more about self-trust and about recognizing what you need in order to feel stable, stable enough, I'll say, to move forward. And so listen closely here, okay? Listen real closely because the guidance is going to be quiet, but it's going to be on point. All right. Let's look at the signs, of course. The signs that are going to be impacted here during this time frame: Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, and Taurus. Um, Gemini, I'm getting like mental restlessness because the mind is adjusting to these new internal truths. Virgo, you might see old systems really breaking down, especially if there have been ones that have built on over functioning. I get something about your nervous system too needing to be reset, or like you might feel like your adrenal glands are shot. Okay. Um, Pisces, you're gonna have these experiences where clarity is really coming into focus. It's going to be replacing any sort of confusion that you may have had. You could feel like shockingly calm during this time as well. Okay. And Taurus, there are themes of security for you, and of course, self trust also being a theme here. Um, Self trust emerging more clearly for you. Okay. Again, this is about like readiness, feeling like we're getting prepared or readied for something. And so the sun here being the pacing mechanism, nothing here is meant to be rushed. Okay. We're not meant to be rushing at all. Again, there seems to be like a collective nervous system reset. I myself experienced it. Um, the sun is going to be the mechanism that really paces this and ensures that this is paced. Because Capricorn's bringing honesty, Aquarius is bringing perspective, and Pisces is bringing release. This time frame is really designed to move slowly because clarity follows this like surrender to the divine. If you have been trying to push yourself back into some kind of momentum prematurely, this season's going to really resist you gently, but it's going to be firm as well. So trust the timing and trust that timing knows more than our egos do. And our ego doesn't want to admit that, does it? Okay, so let's look here. The core message here of this time frame. Okay, winter is really stripping away illusions. Um, Pressure is really going to be up. It's almost like they're showing me like a compress or like a salve, like a poultice, if you will. Um, but it's pressure, and that is really bringing to the forefront some kind of truth. And then, of course, our identity is really going to be different. We're going to be, I put here, repositions quietly. Um, it's going to be quite different. Our identity, we're going to be showing up differently. We're going to be more aligned with that inner truth. So if you feel slower, quieter, or uncertain, just know that you're not behind. Okay, this is a collective theme. I don't want anybody to feel like they're behind. I mean, people sometimes I actually see quite a bit in the collective, you're ahead of these energies. So just keep in mind that you're in a season and you're not being you're not being asked to perform right now. Okay, you're being asked to get comfortable with this idea of living honestly inside some kind of uncertainty that you may be feeling until that clarity comes to the forefront naturally. All right. So let's ask this question here. What comes next? Um, so spring, it doesn't care about who you were. It's asking you who you are willing to act as now. Okay. So as we get into spring, we'll do a spring 2026 thing like this as well. Really preparation to ground. You'll notice that movement's going to come next, but only after this alignment that we're moving through has really taken root. So what you carry forward from this season is going to matter more than how quickly you move. Okay, so it's important to get that fully intact. um let's talk about the elements, fire, earth, air, and water real quick. Now you'll notice that I didn't include the moons, the lunations in this because we do a whole separate lunation. But if that's something that you guys want included in this, let me know and I'll start to incorporate it. I just do a whole separate, astrology and reading around that anyway. So I just left them out for because of that. um, so I just want to ground the season through the elements because the elements are really going to show us how to work with the energy. Um, so fire signs, you're really being asked to slow down long enough to clarify intention and to recognize that not every like idea or spark, if you will, needs to become a commitment. Discipline is really going to focus your power. Earth signs are really being asked to reassess what is sustainable. I don't have a slide on this, so I apologize. Um, you may notice that like endurance without the alignment there is really going to deplete you. Um, and keep in mind too that structure really needs to support you instead of draining you. So if something's draining you, it is not supportive. Okay. Air signs, um, you're going to be translating some kind of insight into form. This could be like fewer plans, clearer priorities. You may notice that thoughts become pretty powerful when paired with follow through. And my water signs, you're really being invited to trust structure. Um, and keep in mind too that your boundaries are not emotional suppression, they're emotional protection. Okay. So that's going to be extremely important for the elements, is whatever your elements are, to keep in mind. And we all embody, again, we embody all the elements somewhere in our. All right, so we'll leave this here and we will go ahead and get into the energy reading. I'm going to switch some things around and we'll do the energetic portion here with the tarot. All right, so let's see what winter has in store for us. Again, we're looking at through the spring equinox, okay? And again, I'm sorry for the coughing and the whatnot. I'm still have residual symptoms from whatever it was that I was dealing with. Okay, so we're going to look at the overall energy. We'll look at the challenges, okay, during this winter season, and then where our focus should be, what's coming in, okay, and then where we're at by the time we get to the spring equinox. 4 of Wands, 9 of Swords. I'm just going to make a note of this, but give me a minute because I feel like there's a message here. Concerns around stability is what I'm seeing. Anxiousness even around stability. My apologies, guys. I'm getting back in the saddle here and I'm off balance. Okay, not really off balance, but you know what I'm saying. Getting back in the saddle here. Show me overall energy. But there is concerns around stability is what I'm seeing. So here is the Hermit. Show me the challenge. The Lovers. Oh boy. Well, this is alignment. Yeah, this is about aligning, inner alignment. It's about connecting with those things that are in alignment. Can you show me where our focus should be over the next few months here? Queen of Wands. Authenticity, identity, that's Aries energy. Show me what winter is bringing in. The Page of Wands. Okay. For some, for many, ideas, a lot of ideas. Okay. Desires, sparks. Again, this is not reacting to this or acting on it just yet. By the end of winter, where is our energy at? We have the King of Cups. You know, the King of Cups really knows how they feel. They're aware of the feelings. Okay, so let's see. I don't know what's going on with the dogs. All right, show me. Ember just trotted by. Show me the Hermit, please. All right, let's see the Hermit. Show me the Hermit and the overall energy between now and the spring equinox, please. Okay, we have the King of Pentacles. Again, responsibilities, what we're devoted to, what we're committed to. There's something here about reflecting on this, looking deeply at this. Is it aligned or is it not aligned? Is it good for me or is it not good for me? Yeah, there's some changes in regard to this here with the Wheel of Fortune. Yeah, there's a lot of observation on what needs to change. And again, we were seeing this astrologically speaking, okay? Hmm. Tell me a little more about this King of Pentacles. For some of you, this is career you might be reflecting on, change of career. There could be something about like health or how health is implicated or health, not necessarily health, but I feel for some of you, it could be more specifically that. You may be also kind of observing where your energy is going. And again, I just see a recognition of something that needs to change here in the overall. Okay. Hi, Ember. Okay, let's take a look at the Lovers then here in the challenge. Okay, Seven of Pentacles. See you, boo. What are you doing? Queen of, yeah, there's a lot of gathering of information here I'm seeing. There's something that you're contemplating though, taking stock of, because I feel like you're not sure that something is aligned, or you're not sure that maybe how you're feeling or something that you feel drawn to is accurate or right. This is where we were picking up that lack of clarity, but that we will be getting more into this energy of having full clarity around something. The lines are more defined. Uh, yep, absolutely. King of Swords. Yeah. So we're just in a place where observation is needed. There's not an alignment or a coming together or a fusing together with a person, a place, a thing, whatever it is that actually is in alignment. Like that's not happening yet. So we're kind of deciphering, like, is this something? The lines aren't clear is what I'm getting. The lines are kind of fuzzy or hazy, or they're blurred. Blurred lines. Isn't that a song? So it's getting from where we are as far as how we're perceiving something to this place of clarity. That's the challenge. But I feel like that's going to come naturally again with Mercury being the processor that's going to be involved. By the way, I guess I should note, I didn't mention when Mercury retrograde starts. I don't recall if I put the date on that slide. But it is at the end of February. I already have the calendar made for it. Just bear with me though, because I want to clarify that. The 26th of February is when it begins. So we'll have the pre-shadow starting around the time that Saturn moves into Aries, February 13th. Okay. All right. So yeah, there's just this, we're taking stock of something. We're investigating something. We're gathering information. We're trying to get clarity on whether something is, I'm hearing, approved or not. What do you have? I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Ember's still puppy. it's the paper towel roll. She can have it. She plays with them. I thought she got something out of the trash, but she kind of did. But all right, not something I'm not opposed to her having. She's like, "Are you talking about me?" Give me a little bit more about this Queen of Swords, King of Swords that you're showing me here. This is about what's in your highest good, what's in your highest alignment here. Okay, so this is something you're not clear about. Like, is this good for me? Is it not good for me? Is this something that I need to be connected to or give my energy to, or is it something that I need to stay away from? So there's that kind of energy going on. It's a good thing, because ultimately there's going to be the alignment that kind of takes shape. The Queen of Wands showing up in where your focus needs to be. Excuse me, guys. Show me where our focus needs to be with this Queen of Wands. The other King of Swords. Okay. The other King of Pentacles. Interesting. And the Three of Swords. Just bear with me one moment. Yeah. This is about your true identity versus the identity that was like you were labeled with, like the identity that everyone else gave you that you were living up to, that we were living up to. Aries energy being like your sense of identity here. Okay. Again, that was something that was coming up again. Saturn moving into Aries is really going to assist with that. Give me this King of Swords, Ten of Cups. Yeah, it's about what I've been giving to myself. Has it really been making me happy, or has it been making me miserable? Has it really been like supporting me, or does it feel stifling and like, stale? The Ten of Cups is talking about like where am I, what am I aligned with that is fulfilling to me, that would, feel fulfilling to me, even if this is something that you're planning in the future. Show me King of Pentacles. It's not the weight of responsibility yet. There's a freeing of responsibility here with the King of Pentacles. of freeing some sort of mindset or ideology that you've had, because it did never belong to you is what I'm getting. It was never your actual identity. It's almost like, especially with Taurus there, it's almost like, you grow up and you have these certain traditions that you do around the holidays, and, I guess that's the freshest thing on our minds right now. Um, but then, like, we get older and, people get married and they move away, and, like, then we notice, like, this was somebody else's idea of how things should look, or, and maybe even the recognition of where that comes from for that person. Um So it's just an example, but there's something here about breaking free from responsibility or our commitment to, being fixed in a certain position, something being fixed or being a certain way. Or again, it could be the expectations that others had on you that you were contributing to. And I think there's something about there being a sadness around not the loss of that identity, but the releasing of that identity. I think there may be even sadness around what we have subjected ourselves to. Show me this 3 of swords, and there's the 7 of swords. Hurting ourselves, the recognition of where we've been hurting ourselves, where we've been, um, harming ourselves in some way. Forgiveness for yourself, though, for not being able to see it, um, as clearly as you will. I don't know that it's not here yet, but this is what winter is doing for us. Um, Show me a little more here about this 7 of swords and the ace of cups. Yeah, you weren't being true to yourself on some level. You weren't being true to your feelings. You may have even questioned the very things that are in alignment for you, that do resonate with you. You may have even questioned those things or been in an environment that was, causing you to question those things. Very interesting. New ideas here with the page of wands. I'm hearing new experiences as well. So let's look at this. What winter's bringing in for us? New ideas. I am getting this as well. New ideas. Show me this page of wands. Okay, the emperor. We're going to be doing something with these ideas here. This might be more toward, Aries season when this comes through. 8 of wands. Yep. 5 of swords. And wow, working through the fears, working through our own hangups, our sabotage, working through our uncertainties. This is definitely overcoming some obstacles and challenges here with that 5 of swords. Tell me more about that, though. What does that look like? 5 of cups. Yeah. It's our regrets. It's our shame. It's our embarrassment here. And excuse me, not the king, the knight of cups. So this is about moving in alignment, moving in a new direction based off what we know to be true emotionally, what we know to be true in our heart. Again, there's a whole new, brand new sense of identity here that we're moving forward with. Doing something with that, taking some kind of action, pushing through again, I feel like it's energetic challenges, shadow work a little bit, like working through the things that hang us up. Okay, that's beautiful. Looks like by Cancer season, that's not an issue anymore. Just clarify this Chariot. For some of you, you have a relationship coming in. Yeah, for sure. Fully kind of stepping onto, I'm hearing the yellow brick road, stepping onto the path here, that you're most aligned with, coming from a very healed place here, moving forward. It's like you're actively working through things that stop you, but while you're doing it. Okay. King of Cups here, the energy that we're in by the time we get to spring equinox. What is this King of Cups? 9 of Wands. Ace of Swords. 10 of Swords. Yeah. Something that is not interesting. I feel like you might have been hoping on a very okay, if I'm to like narrow this down, this could be a conversation that you were hoping to have. That conversation may not happen for some of you, okay, if that is the case. Um this feels like something like how you feel about something that is feels undone, and getting clarity about what that was there to teach you. And this, if this is the case, something was undone that you maybe wanted some sort of closure or clarity on. First off, I feel like you're getting clarity on letting this cycle complete. Like if it's not here by now, we're just done with it kind of thing. Um, or if it hasn't resolved by now, we're done with it. But the King of this is like it's helped us really recognize who we are internally. Give me one moment. This thing being undone has the undoneness of it. Okay, the lack of completion is actually the thing that's the key to healing this. Tell me a little more about this 9 of Wands. Ace of Wands. 8 of Cups. It's walking away from something that we have passion for, or we've had desire or passion for. It's, as an example, it feels a lot like trying to be just a friend to someone that you have deep love for, that you feel romantic feelings for. Does that make sense as far as the energy that I'm picking up? It feels like that. And the 10 of Swords. 3 of Wands, so that you can move forward is what it is, so that it doesn't hold you back anymore. So show me the Ace of Swords. What's this clarity? More clarity here. Yeah, again, King of Cups. Hangman. You're seeing a situation that lacks some kind of completion differently, which is a good thing because it's helping you to kind of uproot it and to move forward. Give me a moment here. I'm going to pull an archetype. I feel like I want to pull an archetype here for us. For Winter, please. Ooh, the fault line. That's interesting. Okay, let me find this. Give me a minute. They're not exactly in like a... They're in sections, different sections. I may have to pause this. Yeah, hold on a minute. Okay, here we go. All right, the fissure, the crack, the weak line. Imagine walking across a frozen lake that begins to crack before your eyes. No matter how optimistic and brave you might be, panic ensues. You become fearful, intense, and long for stable ground. Interesting. Such is the energy of the fault line. It's the energy of walking on eggshells of precarious dynamics, of sensing what is ready to break open into chaos. It's likely this cracking open is overdue as fault lines develop slowly and naturally from underlying elemental pressures. Interesting. This thing that's we don't have clarity around, right? I lost my place. Hold on a minute. This card comes as a potent warning not to deny the shakiness that's afoot. It's much better to prepare yourself for change than to walk along the fault line pretending all is well. Oh. There is no easy fix for the situation at hand. It will require a foundational shift that alters the current dynamics from the ground up. There's some other little side notes here. It is possible that something a loved one said caused a crack in your relationship that has never been mended. Okay. Maybe that's exactly what this is for some of you. It's relationship. The time to heal is nigh. And for some of you, there is like a conversation that's going to be happening. And that, again, that may happen during the Mercury retrograde. It says in Japanese kintsugi, I'm probably saying that wrong, pottery, gold is used to mend cracks. Breaks are thought of as precious rather than something to be hidden. This either you're breaking yourself open because you have no closure and you've got to let this go and move on from it, and you know this because it's impacting your identity, or it's impacting your future in some way, or your identity in the future, who you are in the future. Um, or this is something that has the potential to come together. I've been seeing a lot of energy is supported for like reconciliations and fixing things with people recently, anyway, as we're in January. So I want to pull a dream song oracle here before we close this out. Let it burn. Interesting. Okay. We hear you. All right. So let it burn, number 34, breaking down to a 7 if we're keeping track of the numerology. Let's see here. Anger is your ally right now. You're being called to find the creative power in your dissatisfaction. Anger is a sacred fire denied to many of us. We're encouraged to be compliant and agreeable even when it's not in our best interest. That's exactly what this was about. We've been compliant and agreeable with something that doesn't align with us, or some things that haven't aligned with us. Fire is fuel for change. Too little fire, and we risk listlessness and depression. Too much, and we risk consuming our peace of mind with wrath, or worse, bitterness. Maybe there's a contemplation on where you feel bitter or angry. What change can you invite? What injustice can you transform? Allow sacred fire to burn what is no longer vital. Worn out ideas, false perceptions, limiting beliefs, unhealthy habits or relationships. New life awaits in the ashes, and that's what this 3 of Wands is about. That's what this is. The 10 of Swords is the ashes here. But you're going to be seeing it differently. And that's going to give you the nudge that you need to let it go and move forward. Okay. Now, even if you're coming together with a person, I don't mean necessarily walking away, but even if you come together with a person, this can be, how do we move forward together? How do we change things, so that we can create a more solid foundation between the two of us, or between you and whatever this is. Okay. All right, loves, I'm going to get this to you. I would appreciate your feedback on how I'm doing things currently. I would appreciate anything if there's something that you wish I would include, you would like me to include. Let me know again. As far as, if you want to see the zodiacal wheel, like if you just want me to incorporate it into the slides, or do you like how I'm doing the PowerPoints, I would really appreciate your input there. Okay. I'm sending you guys a lot of love. Oh, let me mention too, before we go, I did a decode your nodes, and let me find something real quick. I did a decode your nodes. You guys get it for 30% off, which is like $8 off. But give me a second. I want to give you the coupon code over here for decode your nodes if you're interested in that. It does come with a workbook. And it basically just teaches you what are your nodes and how this really impacts and shapes your life, and how it relates to even like your purpose down the road. So let me see here. I just want to give you the code while we're here. No, that's not what I want. 1 minute. I believe it's DYN, capital D, like David, Y like yellow, and like Nora, 2026. But let me just double check that. Yes, it is. Okay. So for, of course, Sacred Disruptors and Phoenix Frequencies, that is there, and at some point I'll get it updated in your announcements. But the Decode Your Nodes is under the Emporium, excuse me, the expansion portal, and that's basically the courses there, or you can just do /courses on the end of the website. It's the only one I have up right now, but I also have a how to read your birth chart that I'm in the process of recording. So hang tight. I've got that one coming, and then there'll be a like a level 1, level 2 kind of thing, and we'll just expand on it. But right now, you have access to this Decode Your Nose at a reduced price if you're interested in that. All right, now I'm sending you a lot of love, even more love, and I'll see you guys very soon.